Raiff Chat by Raiffeisen Tech.
Does your CV have to be perfect? Does a candidate who hasn't worked for a few months really have lower chance of getting hired? Or maybe is flexibility, openness, and the ability to learn matter more today than a list of certificates and past experience?
Welcome to another episode of Raiff Chat by Raiffeisen Tech, an episode in which we take a look behind the scenes of recruitment. We will talk about what truly matters to recruiters these days, what myths still circulate among candidates, and what role AI is beginning to play. Can artificial intelligence really help find the perfect candidate? Or will it soon be conducting job interviews with us?
Dominic, before we begin, tell me, have you ever applied for a dream job, feel like you were the perfect fit, and still didn't get the offer?
Actually, yes. There was a time when I turned down an offer for a position I was perfect fit, and instead chose a role where I simply had a gut feeling I'd be happier. Recruitment isn't about a company choosing an employee. It's also about the employee choosing the employer.
And that's what we'll dive into today's episodes. Stay with us for part 2, where you will meet our special guest, someone which has a lot of insights into recruitment process at Raiffeisen Tech. I'm Claudia.
And I'm Dominic.
Stay with us.
In this part, we'd like you to meet our guest, Karolina. Hi, Karolina.
Hi, it's great to be here.
Karolina, we've got a few fun facts to introduce you. Ready?
Yes, let's go.
Movement and discovering new places are her favorite ways to recharge and disconnect from work.
Absolutely true. I need various types of physical activity. It's important to challenge myself and boost my endorphins.
She doesn't need faraway destinations to feel the thrill of exploring. She enjoys discovering both hidden gems nearby and taking more adventurous trips.
That's definitely me. No matter how far, I enjoy exploring new places, even if it is in Warsaw, in Poland, as well as venturing much further. What's important is the experience something new.
She's a cycling enthusiast, both on the road and in the spinning studio.
Totally true. I love cycling, both outdoors and during indoor spin classes. Lately, rather spinning trainings and beating my personal records.
She's kind of bridge between recruitment, talent development, and organization culture. Her superpower, building IT teams from scratch, with a strong focus on their long-term growth.
That's the perfect description. My role is a mixture of different HR areas, and I really enjoy my job.
And with that, we are excited to officially welcome Karolina Czemerys from the HR and Recruitment team in Raiffeisen Tech. Let's start with the base. What makes someone a great candidate today? It's about having a ready-made skill set, or it's more about openness to learning?
This topic could cover our entire meeting today. But I know that we have more questions, so keep it short. So I would say that both experience and potential competences are important today. We still look at someone's experience, but more and more we focus on what they can do, how they can use their skills, their experience. So we try to focus on their potential. In the past, when we received a CV, we looked at job history, education, and years of experience within the role. Currently, we focus more on soft skills of future competences.
So you used to count the years?
Exactly. So years of experience were often listed as requirements in the job ads. Now that's changing. We are looking more on the quality of experience. So, example, we have a person with 3 years of experience and another person with 5 years of experience. But when we deep dive a little bit in the experience, we see that the duties, the tasks were more intensive. And this 3 years of experience means something more for us. The person can bring something more on the table. And someone could be even 5 years in the role and doing, more repetitive job. Nothing new happened during this year. So this is a big switch. And of course, as I mentioned, we are focusing more and more on the potential. So by the potential, I mean not what the person has already done. So of course it's important, but it's not only what we try to discover during the interview, but what they are able to do, how fast person can learn, how work within the team. So this is more important nowadays. And this shift in the recruitment is very visible. So companies are becoming more to the competence-based. And so they look more on the potential of the person. They look more about the capabilities of the person. And this model applies not only to the recruitment process, but very much into developing existing employees.
So if you're talking about what really matters, are there skills you think are essential, even if they're not always listed in job offer?
Absolutely. One great source is the latest World Economic Forum report, which outlines the most important skills for the next 5 years, regardless of job title. The top one, analytical thinking. In general, thinking skills are the key. So the critical thinking, analytical thinking, and creative thinking, as well as curiosity. When it comes to the leadership or project management, we're also looking for people who can influence others and work well in the teams. From my experience, teamwork is crucial. Even if the job is mostly individual, companies today want people who can share knowledge and collaborate. In team roles, this is even more important. We often choose candidates who are great team players over those with stronger technical skills, but less ability to collaborate. Last but not least, being more authentic is also key. We're not just hiring great professionals, we're looking for great people we will enjoy working with.
So things like about me sections or hobbies is in a CV still matter?
About me section is a really a great place that we can use in our CVs to put information who we are, what we want, what's our motivation is. So I really love to read this section when I see the CV. In the past, when we asked candidates about their strengths and areas for development, the answers felt scripted, designed to sell themselves. Now, people are more honest and reflective, and that's seen as a big plus. It shows self-awareness, a desire to grow, and the ability to learn, all of which are critical in today's fast-changing world. Job titles don't always reflect what someone actually does. That's why this competence-based approach helps, because no two people in the same role, in the same company, do things exactly the same way. There's always a personal dimension.
You've mentioned change and flexibility quite a bit, which is great because it shows we don't have to be perfect in interviews. Of course, being prepared helps, especially when we are nervous or caught off guard. But speaking of change, how is the role of candidates shifting now when AI is playing such a big part in recruitment?
It's definitely changing. These days, even CVs are often written by AI and sometimes reviewed by AI as well. You can definitely tell.
So, what's your take? If a resume is clearly written by AI, is that a good or bad?
I'd say neutral. I focus on the content, keywords, skills, experience that matter for the role. The style or phrasing is secondary.
So, no separate piles. One for AI generated and one for human ones?
Not at all, but it's important to remember that everything written in the CV can be verified. So sometimes AI-generated CVs are overly polished, and that's a red flag if the person can't back it up in an interview.
Do you think that awareness is more age-related? That expectation toward the workplace and preparation for new roles depend on one's age?
I'd say it's more about personality. Sometimes you see candidates, let's say younger candidates, just entering the job market. They are bolder in the types of questions they ask during the interview. They often don't feel the same hierarchical pressure that was more common in the past. Companies themselves are reducing the number of management layers, and new generations are more open in their communication style. For example, addressing each other informally is common in many teams. A few years ago, addressing a director or a board member informally wouldn't been unthinkable. Now, in many companies, even the CEO can be addressed by first name. And when someone has been on the job market for a longer time and changes job less frequently, you can often see that they need a bit of time to adjust to this new style, to feel more comfortable in the interviews. Sometimes there's even a bit of imposter syndrome. For example, someone might say, I've worked with this technology for 3 years, but I still don't know this or that. And a person who has just, half year of experience is rather like, oh yeah, I've been working with that for 6 months and I know this and that and I'm very good at it. So we still have to, I would say, encourage those candidates who has more experience and sometimes help them, guide them during the conversation, during the interview.
Is that part of verification process, like verifying what someone wrote in their CV by asking more detailed questions? Or are we talking more about verifying if someone lied about their job title?
Sometimes it's also about the job titles, but it's rather not happening frequently. So usually people are honest, especially since documents from previous employers are required when starting a new job. Some companies do perform full background checks, so it means that they're verifying job titles, length of employment, former employers, education background, and so on and so on. So still, what I mean by verification is more about digging deeper during the interview. So if someone says that they've done something, we ask follow-up questions. And sometimes you get the sense that maybe they haven't really done what they've claimed. And this is a really red flag for us. Sometimes it happens even in technical interviews. Candidates list certain technologies, and once we ask technical questions, their reality doesn't always match. I don't mean to say that this is the majority of the cases, but it happens.
And now with interviews being remote, done on Teams, do you think that changes how we perceive a candidate?
It definitely makes the process more accessible. Before the pandemic times, candidates had to travel for in-person interviews, which could be a big barrier. Now it's much, much easier for them to attend more interviews. From a logistical perspective, it's definitely simple.
Let's move on to what's currently trending in the tech recruitment market. What are the dominant terms?
Well, I would say that the main topics across all organizations, not only the technological ones, is a technological change. It's also connected with the AI, of course. But while we experienced many waves of tech transformation over time, the current pace feels much faster. And we all need to adapt to that. Microsoft has an interesting report, and so-called pioneer companies, those that are already deeper integrating AI into their operations. And the outcome or the outlines, there are 3 phases of that. So we are starting from the using AI as some kind of helper that helps us in our daily basis. And then there is another phase that we are using AI to help us in a part of the bigger part of our job, so the bigger part of the process. They taking a bigger part of the process, and in the end, the last phase is that we have AI, the AI workers, let's call it like that, and the human beings are more like bosses for them. So the whole process is taken over the AI. So our responsibilities change very, very much, so change a lot. But the human role remains extremely important. AI is great for repetitive, structured tasks, but when things get more complex, or we call it wicked problems, humans are really, really important and cannot be replaced so easily. Another trend is skill gap on the market. So it means that we have a lot of candidates available on the market. So the talent pool is quite huge, I would say. But on the other hand, they don't have required skills. So what we do in that case, we try to define their experience a little bit in a different way. We try to find what they can do, how quick they can learn to become the perfect fit candidates.
Let's pause here. It's fascinating. We keep circling back to flexibility. It seems obvious that not having experience in something doesn't disqualify you, as long as you are willing to learn, right? But that's from flexibility or something else?
So one important point, recruitment isn't just done by recruiters. Hiring managers and the team members are involved too. In our process, we use what's called a behavioral-based interview, but on steroids. You might say, because we don't ask just typical behavioral questions, but we also deep dive a little bit, and we would like to understand the emotions about this situation, and we ask candidates if this experience is something that they would like to go through again, or it is something that they don't want to again in the future. So there are a lot of questions that we ask. This digging deeper, it's very important. We asking also what they've learned from that situation and how they felt about it. As I mentioned, the emotional aspect is also key. If they say that they don't want to do it, never again, we assess this answer a little bit different than answer like yes, I'm really waiting for another chance like that. We also look at the CV to spot career shifts. For example, someone who changed the fields or someone who took an additional tasks beyond their role. We ask about proactivity because that connects us to personality. And we try to take a coaching approach, not to look for gaps or flaws, but to help candidates survive and highlight the positive things they might not even realize are worth sharing. Some candidates prepare really well. They review the job description, spot gaps in their knowledge, and at least read up the topics. So when they're asked, they don't just say, I don't know. They say, I haven't worked with that yet, but I'm ready to be involved in that or I can learn this.
You mentioned soft skills and behavioral interviews. But what about tools like Gallup? Is that something a candidate can proudly showcase? Or is it a method of assessment?
When it comes to Gallup, we're quite Gallupy at our organization. We're very much close to this approach of working with talents. That is, we believe everyone has strengths, things that come more naturally and easily to them. And we aim to develop those areas rather than focusing on the ones that show up the last in our list, so in the last of the Gallup's talent list. We try to work with what we consider our personal superpowers. From a development perspective, I think it's a great tool because it provides insights into how to work with your top 5 strengths or top 10 strengths, and what talents you possess, and what's definitely your big plus. But we're also aware Gallup includes so-called basements, so the downsides of our strengths. So we're not sure how measure it during the recruitment process. I'd treat it more as a tool for ongoing development work with a person. It's a helpful indicator, sure, but not necessarily something we would use at the recruitment stage. At the recruitment level, there are many tests. Some of them have been around for years on the market, but now there is a boom, I would say, in tests that focus on so-called future competences. These are often specially designed to support hiring process, helping us to go beyond the CV and identify candidates who might not have had the chance to showcase their competences in previous roles, previous jobs, due to task structure or team setup. These tests often reveal elements of someone's personality that wouldn't otherwise surface. So I believe these types of tools are more commonly used now. I wouldn't say they're, widespread just yet, but we've definitely seeing more of them.
Speaking of tools, are there any candidates' effectiveness metrics that used to work but are now outdated?
From a recruitment process perspective, there have been a lot of talk about metrics and using data to drive hiring decisions. Many companies are heading in that direction. Metrics like time to hire, time to fill are very important, and they are still very important. They help us to plan ahead, understand how hard it might be to find the right person, and adjust our strategy accordingly. But there are some metrics that are becoming less relevant, like the number of applicants per role. We care less about whether we have 500 or 5 people apply, and more about whether they're the right people, the right candidates, the right fit for the role and the organization. That's becoming more important. We've also trying to combine short-term recruitment metrics with longer-term outcomes. Does the person stay with us, with the company? Are they performing well? Do they feel good in the organization? What impact are they making? The goal is no longer just to fill the recruitment process, but to look at what happens afterward. And that's when we know if the hire was truly successful. So I would say this is more holistic approach to the recruitment process.
Whenever we talk about metrics, I can't help but wonder, how much does intuition still play a role? Have you ever had a situation where a candidate didn't score highest based on the data, but your gut told you they were worth a second look?
We're human. So of course we have different thoughts and emotional reactions. And there are lots of cognitive biases that sneak in, like, oh, I went to the same school as this person, as this candidate, they must be great, or what name reminds me, or someone I liked, or the opposite, negative associations. There are really basic things, but we try to minimize their influence by staying focused on the profile with hiring for and comparing candidates objectively. Still, sometimes intuition kicks in, like a gut feeling that someone's will be a great fit or maybe won't. That's usually a sign we missed something and need to dig a bit deeper and maybe ask another question or ask additional question just to double check something to make sure that we are pretty sure and know what to do.
Do you ever actually call a candidate after a formal interview just to clarify something that doesn't sit right to you?
Yes. If we still have contact after the initial interview, we do follow up. We might reach out to clarify or verify something we didn't get to discuss. We don't want to leave anything unresolved, because if we do, our minds start filling in the gaps. We might assume that the candidate means something, and that assumption could be totally wrong. And often the candidate is surprised, like, oh, I didn't realize that how it come across. But interviews are time limited, and sometimes people give quick answers because they're watching the clock or assume something is obvious. And if we are unfamiliar with the candidate's previous company or environment, we need more context to understand what they really mean.
At Recruitment, you use the phrase, the new era of recruitment. What does that mean to you?
Well, first of all, I want just to say that the conference wasn't just an event. It was a major international conference, and Karolina was on the stage. Huge congrats. Really, that was something truly significant.
Thank you. It was a really incredible event, especially because it had a regional focus. Poland is a big market, and we often do things more locally. We have local conferences, just some international ones, but rarely ones focusing especially on recruitment. In Budapest, there were people from many different countries, even outside Europe, as it tuned out. The knowledge exchange, the openness, and the curiosity to learn were just amazing and very valuable experience. I'm sure I'll go again next year. My talk title was meant that be a bit provocative, but also very real. We're leaving behind a lot of old practices, like I mentioned earlier, moving away from purely CV-based assessment. Just because someone has a certain amount of experience doesn't mean they're right for a role. Roles are more becoming more project-based with clearly defined business problems to solve. This is especially true for leadership positions, but not only. When we open a new recruitment process, we don't just look at job titles. We ask the hiring managers, what exactly do we need? Maybe we already have someone great in the team handling part of the responsibilities, but we lack experience in another area. So we look at the actual tasks and skills rather than just ticking boxes. It's a shift in how we define and assess experience. For example, if someone worked 5 years but in 3 different roles, 2 years in one, 2 years in another role, and the last year in the target role, in the role that we are currently have open, do we say they have 1 year of experience or 5? We've now trying to assess potential, the competences of the candidates. It might seem like we're talking more about soft things, soft skills, but even from a process standpoint and in our mindset at recruiters and candidates, this is a big shift. Sometimes a candidate will say, I've answered all 5 technical questions perfectly. Why didn't I get the job? I'm a perfect candidate. And the answer is because those 5 questions don't tell the whole story. So this mental shift needs to happen on both sides. Recruiters are now also thinking long term, not just can this person do the job that we have currently open, but what will this person bring to the organization in the long run? Is this person flexible enough? Is this person eager enough to learn, to stay within the company for longer time? And yes, even CVs are changing, and I think eventually CVs might become unnecessarily in the future.
So let's stick with recruitment a bit longer. From an international perspective, how does Poland's recruitment industry compare? Are we ahead of trends, keeping pace, of lagging behind?
I think we're going really very well. Looking at the Polish market and maybe the region itself, I'd say we're very observant. We pay close attention to trends, adapt quickly, and draw smarter conclusions. We often collaborate with companies from other countries, which gives us exposure and additional insight. In recruitment, especially, we've learned to see how things are done elsewhere and become more open to new ideas. Even when recruitment slows down, we find ways to add value to our organizations. We are solution-oriented, for sure. I definitely don't think we're behind. In fact, we're often quicker to act. When it comes to technologies used in the recruitment, here sometimes we have some delays, and I would say it's especially because of the budget.
That's due to regulation or just a lower appetite for risk?
No, it's purely about finances.
There is one thing I wanted to follow up on. You mentioned that CVs and job ads are now shorter. Does that also mean that recruitment process are getting faster?
Well, compared to what we used to hear from big tech companies, that there are 11 or 7 stage processes, I think currently we are going quite fast when it comes to the recruitment process, and there are 1 step, sometimes 2-3 steps. But when it comes to current situation on the market, when we have more good CVs, good candidates to interview, sometimes I think we spend more time for interviewing everyone and to making sure that we found a proper person. So I would say when it comes to the stages, we try to have less than years ago, and you try to be very quick. But when it comes to the whole recruitment process, I think we are trying to engaging more people during the interview process, and it sometimes impact the time of the whole recruitment process.
And technology can help with that. For example, even assessing soft skills.
It absolutely can. Currently on the market, there are available software that supports, for example, in finding or the sourcing candidates, for example, through the LinkedIn or through the internal databases. And they highlight the candidates who are the best match. So the recruiters just step into after reviewing the results, and they could look at the bigger picture. Also, AI can have like a screening calls with the candidate. So it means that the AI is calling to the candidate, presenting the offer, and asking a few questions.
But isn't it obvious it's not a real person?
Yes, of course. The candidate is informed, but also I think what I've heard so far that this is something that the tone of voice is definitely not very much human. The third thing is help with scheduling interviews. So that's really something that I'm looking for. What's else? I would say that AI helps in writing job descriptions or to prepare interviewers before the interview process.
That's so important. Sometimes you go through a whole process and only hear, yes, I'm so sorry, but we've chosen another candidate. Or worse, nothing at all. Have you heard any concerns or hopes around AI from the candidate side?
You hear stories like add hidden white text to your CV that says you're the great candidate and worth to hire. So hoping to trick AI.
So you even see that?
Well, I once saw something suspicious. The text block that may have been like that. But really just a few cases. So it's not something that's happening very frequently. And it was after the viral post on the LinkedIn. I don't see it anymore. And let me say, it doesn't work. You can't fool AI or a human reviewing your CV.
Do you remember your reaction to seeing that?
Honestly, I had like a feeling like someone is trying to do the best to make sure that the person will receive the job or will be forwarded to the next steps. And I had thought like, nice try. But also I have in my mind like what people think about the recruiters, what people think about interview process, how it works. So maybe there are some myths about how it works, but also on the other hand, I understand that someone who is sending a lot of CVs and still is searching for a job may do anything that, in their opinion, will strengthen their chances.
Have you come across candidates using apps during interviews, like those viral videos where people use a tool during the call that helps them answer questions?
I haven't seen that happen yet. I've heard of it, but I think it's more of a trend than a reality. I've had candidates Google something during the interview and even admit they didn't know a term. That's fine.
So it is okay to admit you don't know something?
Definitely. Just be honest. Say you're checking or you're not familiar with the term, no problem at all.
All right, so let's talk about how recruitment looks at Raiffeisen Tech, both from your side and from the candidate's perspective.
Sure. The recruitment process consists of several stages. Of course, we start with application verification. We check the CVs among requirements. And I would like to stop here for a moment. In our adverts, I would say in any adverts, you can find the requirements and information about the role. And a tip for candidates: read it carefully and verify with your CV. Make sure that your CV is an answer to the advert. Make sure that the person who reads your CV will find the answers, not questions. So highlight your skills, your experience that is fitting the role. Let's think about example. So we had an open role for QA, and an important requirement was experience with metrics and working in a shift left model. And only few candidates put this information in their CV, so it was a very clear information for us if this is something that they know how to do, that they have this in their experience, or they have never worked with this. So make sure that you will not lose your chance for the next stage. So what's next? Next, we contact selected candidates by phone. This is the screening call stage. We discuss the details of the role, candidates' expectations, and we want them to know more about Raiffeisen, while we want to learn more about them. The next stage is interview. Sometimes we have one meeting, sometimes two. They took place online via Microsoft Teams and last about 1 hour. They are conducted in Polish or English, depending on the structure and position. During the interviews, candidates can meet their future colleagues and the manager. Of course, also a person from the HR team is attending the meetings. So candidates can feel the flavor of the company. During the conversation, candidates receive a complete picture of the company and the position. It is very important for us to select individuals who will fit our organization, its values, and who will feel comfortable here. And the last stage is making an offer.
What about location? Does it matter where the candidate lives?
It depends on the role, but all employees need to live in Poland. We work in a hybrid model, but some teams work closely and meet more often in the office. So we focus in that cases on local candidates. Other roles work with distributed teams in Vienna or elsewhere in Europe. And for those, it doesn't matter where in Poland the person is based.
So even if I see a job for Gdańsk, but I live in Warsaw, it is worth to applying?
It depends what hybrid means. If it's once a month or once every few months, sure. Include a note in your CV that you're open to hybrid work. If it's 3 to 4 days a week in the office, it might be more of challenge. And remember, there is the cost of travel. And the question is, who pays for that? You might be okay with covering it yourself, but company policy may not allow for exceptions. So everyone has to be treated equally. Also, travel time matters. We work in a sensitive industry. I can't imagine someone working from a train. So yeah, check what the hybrid model actually means.
Do you come across people who actually want to be 100% time in the office?
Yes, maybe not 100%, but definitely more present. You can tell even just by walking around our office. Some people come 4 or even 5 days a week. Sometimes people say during interviews, I work fully remotely now, but I'd love to come to the office from time to time. And they do. Some even say that they wish we had an office in their city because in-person work is important to them. So yes, there are people who want that.
Let's shift the tone. Do you remember an interview that really stood out? Something funny or just very human?
I have to be diplomatic here. What happens in the recruitment interview stays in recruitment interviews. But we could say that definitely we could write a book and it would be funny, awkward, and about sweet moments. All those viral pandemic Zoom fails, we experienced everything. Everything happened during interviews. So backgrounds fell down, people running in and out of rooms, and much more, maybe not to share today. That kind of things happens. Don't worry, we are all human beings. It happens on both sides. It doesn't bother anyone.
Have you ever had someone overshare?
Yes, we sometimes create such a warm atmosphere that people forget it's still a job interview. But one memorable moment, a candidate started answering questions, and he was adding information about his experience and how it fits to our company, to this role. And he thought it was a completely different job and completely different company. So another tip for candidates, please read the advert and check the company, the position you are applying before the interview. There are all kinds of moments, some very personal and touching, where someone truly opens up. If your child or pet interrupts or you need a second, it's fine. We keep going.
That's one good thing about remote work. We've become a bit more open, more human. If you had full freedom, how would you design the perfect recruitment process?
I'd love to have a system that can quickly and accurately assess a candidate's potential. Something that goes beyond the CV, gives us very good insight. Something that gives candidates useful feedback, even if they don't make it. A kind of mini development moment, like, okay, I need to work on this or on that. That way, even the application itself gives them value. I'd love for candidates to visit the office beforehand too. Maybe have coffee with someone from the team. We already offer that.
And if you could give one piece of advice to job seekers?
Read the job ad and tailor your CV to match. Of course, remember that it have to be true. A CV is a reply to an advert. So it's your communication back. Don't expect someone to guess what you mean or, if something is unclear. So make sure that you put everything you wanted to be put there. And one more, apply even if you don't meet 100% of the criteria. If you're at 80% and you feel that you can learn it very quickly, just go for it.
Last thing, how do you see recruitment in 5 years? Will anything replace the CV?
That's a classic question, like a meme question from the interview. We don't ask this question. The question is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Honestly, the world is moving so fast, it's really hard to say. But I think we'll see more flexibility, like the online interviews will be available, but also if you want to go and visit the company or someone who's doing the interview in person, you can do it. And more focus on potential, not just experience. Probably more digital tools we will use. People will jump between the roles, projects, industries, will need to get better at assessing how quickly someone learns, how adaptable they are. So yes, CVs might disappear, but even if not, we'll need to view them differently.
Karolina, thank you so much. You've shown us that recruitment is no longer about perfect CVs. It's about potential, empathy, flexibility, and being human. Thanks.
Thank you.
That was part 2 of our conversation. In part 3, we'll dive into the biggest recruitment myths and truths in the IT world. True or false? Our final, where together with Karolina will debunk or confirm the most common stories and beliefs related to IT and the recruitment process itself. Karolina, in front of you are a few hits and myths. After I read each one, I will ask you to first tell us whether it's a hit or a myth, and then explain your reasoning. Are you ready?
Absolutely. Let's begin.
True or false? A person with longer career break is viewed more negatively in recruitment.
False, definitely. And I truly hope that candidates who are applying after a break or with a gap in their CV won't feel discouraged.
True or false? Frequent job changes disqualify a candidate. Job hoppers have fewer chances.
Here, I'd say it depends on the reasons why these frequent changes happens. Sometimes it could be even a big value for the companies, working on many different projects, different sectors, quick adaptation. It really means something. And of course, sometimes it could be read as a red flag.
True or false? It's harder for young or less experienced people to find a job.
I think right now the market is indeed a bit tougher for people with less experience. There are fewer entry-level roles than before, but I absolutely believe it's still possible to find a job.
True or false? A candidate must match the job description perfectly.
Oh no, definitely false. You don't need to tick 100% of the boxes.
True or false? IT recruitment processes are long and complicated.
I'd say false. We've moved away from those long multi-stage processes.
True or false? CVs will soon become unnecessary.
I think they'll change. The way we use them will evolve, definitely. And in many cases, CVs may not be needed at all.
True or false? AI will take recruiters' jobs.
I believe that's a false. AI will definitely support us, but not replace us.
True or false? Companies are choosing between humans and AI.
Oh, that's a false. We are not at this stage yet. Maybe one day in the future, but definitely not now.
True or false? Employers prefer candidates who actively use AI tools over those who don't.
Right now, it's not yet a must-have factor, but questions about AI do come up more and more in interviews. So I think we're moving in that direction, and AI literacy will become important.
And that's all for today. Karolina, thank you so much for this conversation. One, we have really looked at what matters in modern recruitment. What makes especially happy is the openness to growth, soft skills, and the values that connect employees with employers. Thank you.
Thank you for giving us behind the scenes glimpse into what being a recruiter is really like, and for highlighting the trends that are shaping the future of recruitment, including how it might evolve in next few years. And to our dear listeners and viewers, we hope this talk opened your eyes to some new perspectives.
Thank you so much. It was a real pleasure to be here with you. Thanks for your time, and thank you very much to all listeners.
So see you next time on Raiff Chat by Raiffeisen Tech.